Namaste, everyone. Alright, so last video we talked about samsara. Today we're going to talk about one of the Kaif, aka Shiva, one of his favorite subjects. And I used to have dreams about this when I was a kid. I wasn't too sure what I was thinking about when I would always just think about Hallmark this or Hallmark that. So today we're going to talk about Hallmarking. Alright, so Hallmarking is it's a really messed up subject because it all involves around the human emotion and their feelings, and then it also falls under the same lines as psychic vampirism, if you want to call it that, because we're fighting with our minds and each other's consciousnesses. It's just really hard to kind of know what's going on without being force fed hallmarked or hallmarking or being hallmarked. So hallmarking is in our philosophy, as Shiva explained it, as I've known since I was a little kid. Hallmarking is messed up. Okay, you can't think about the company Hallmark because that falls under the same pretense. Okay, now there's non-monogamous relationship and monogamous relationships. We're not saying non-monogamy is the way, or we're not saying monogamy is the way. Everybody finds their own path, but in this place it's about maturity. It's all about maturity here. And what people fail to understand is what is maturity. Okay, so what makes a relationship mature, or what makes the individual in a relationship mature? You know, it's all the guidelines that you want to follow into your relationship with. So when you think about relationships, you think about love. You think about a relationship, like being with somebody in merriment, even if it's holy matrimony or just a fling or just, I don't want to get into what I say as far as, penis and vagina, but I would say it the real way I'd like to say. But, that's what it comes down to. But somebody has to be hallmarked, and it just doesn't mean in a physical relationship. It could mean in any aspect. So being hallmarked is like being bamboozled. It's like being bamboozled or being lied to for a reason with another ulterior motive behind that person that's lying to you. So hallmarking is like, and this is gonna, just don't take this the wrong way, guys, because this is just about maturity. Hallmarking is like something like, how do I want to explain that as Mark Kwan, not as Shiva. I've been hallmarked before plenty of times. I've been in relationships where chicks would be like, you should be this way, or you should act this way, or why don't you know this? Okay, well, you're not black enough because you don't know too much about Motown. That doesn't make any sense. So what happens is that the individual will try to conform to her or his demands on how they should be shaped in their image. That's hallmarking. So when somebody is in a relationship, it happens all the time. Even kids get hallmarked by their parents because parents think about one thing: work, survive, go to school, get a job. That's another form of hallmarking. Hallmarking is being lied to where you can't find yourself. Okay? And he's hitting the Radraksha seeds. He's like, pretty much that's what it is. It's being able not to find yourself. And you follow the conformity of understanding of what sheep do. Do what the next person does, do what the next person is. Maybe you'll be like your parents and your kids will be like you. That's hallmarking. It's got to stop. So with hallmarking, it's like being in a relationship with a woman, or being in a relationship as a child with a parent. And the ones that always seems to make the best decisions for you, but you can't seem to make decisions for yourself because you don't know how to be yourself, because you're always used to being somebody else or what society teaches you to be. So you have to be careful about being hallmarked. Hallmarking could be something as simple as here's an example of being hallmarked. We all heard this. Everybody in the hood know what this means. So I don't like using bad language. I'll drop some F-bombs to get a point across. Or Shiva will channel and drop an F-bomb to get a point across. But we don't say the N-word. We don't use words of negativity anymore. It's all about emphasis. But everybody has heard of this Hallmark. Here we go. I'm going to say this P word. Pussy whipped. Okay? It happens to the best of us. Everybody gets pussy whipped. Women get dick whipped. You know, it happens. It's hallmarking. You have to be able to think like a Buddhist monk for a second and just step outside of yourself and look at the picture and see what really happens to your life when you become hallmarked. So when you are dealing in a relationship for per se, like some woman that or some man that is controlling you or a control freak, and if you like torment and if you like to subject yourself to torment, then you like being hallmarked. If you're a woman that likes to be choked in the middle of intercourse to climax, that's a form of demonic hallmarking. It's not you. It's something else trying to be like what is trying to be inside of you, like. Or you are trying to show somebody how you like it to make you get off. But if your person is like, okay, I'm not into choking you. Well, I need you to do what you need to do to get me off. And you should be like, well, that's not in my nature to choke women to make you climax, but I'm not going to be hallmarked to do that, so I'm not going to give in. So you know what, you're crazy, I'll leave you alone, you got personal issues, and obviously go ahead and hang yourself until you climax. Do that to yourself. I'm not going to do it because it's happened to me. I would deal with a lot of women that would try to change my perspective on how they want me to be. And if you're that type of man that like to be PW'd, that's fine. If you like to be hallmarked and PW'd on a regular basis, go ahead. That's samsara. We already talked about what samsara is. Alright? So that's what samsara does. It hallmarks everybody. So basically, you know, you don't want to give in to something that you know internally that you know that isn't right. Your higher consciousness will let you know that ain't right. That's not who you are, who you're supposed to become. So you do it anyways. It could, because somebody it makes them feel better because you become this way. Now, people need to be hallmarked. My video's breaking up. So sorry about that, guys. People need to be hallmarked to a certain degree. There's just some people that just aren't ready to wake up and just like to be PW'd or DW'd. It's up to you to decide on how you're going to become who you're going to become. Alright? So, and that's what happened with me. If I had to stop the hallmarking, I had to like figure out what's wrong with me, why am I weird, why do I see orbs, why do I see shadow entities, why do I talk about this with everybody else and they don't experience it, but I guess I'm clairvoyant, so I'm the only one that is clairvoyant around my peer group. When nobody else experiences this, unless they say, oh yeah, I saw something from the corner of my eye, well, you're clairvoyant. But I couldn't find out about, you know, this three-eyed, dark-skinned woman in a bed with me when I was 12 and find out it's Kali because I liberated myself from hallmarking. I choose not to be hallmarked because my girl would tell me, like, why are you getting into religion when you died and you should just go back to work? And that's fine because I did go back to work. I started my food truck, got it back up and running. But it's all about what she wanted me to do. Like, here's the norm, the social norm. Go get a job, live, eat, shit, die. Your kids do the same thing, and then your other kids will do the same thing. So it's just modern day slavery. Slavery is hallmarking. Hallmarking exists everywhere, whether it be a form of your commercials that tell you to go buy something, or your girlfriend that tells you, you know what, it'll make me feel better if you put some roses on my bed, and that hasn't got shit to do with the sea in China dealing with samsara. Y'all guys have to become a little bit more mature than to understand about what hallmarking can do to yourself psychologically. So you want to kind of place, not necessarily with psychic vampirism, but people can guilt trip you into doing things against your will, and that's hallmarking. You're being hallmarked. Sweetest Day is a version of kind of hallmarking. You know, Sweetest Day, we already know that's some new shit. We know at Valentine's Day that's always kind of existed. But all these examples are examples of hallmarking because Hallmark tells you to go out because Valentine's Day coming up, you better hurry up and get laid, find somebody to be with. Better hurry up and procreate because you better hurry up and have a baby. Here, go ahead and buy these roses and give this girl this gift card so you can make sure she gets pregnant so you can keep bringing more kids into samsara that have to struggle with this shit. So guys, again, please, you gotta know psychologically who you're dealing with on a regular basis, especially if they're living with you or you living with them, because hallmarking exists. I had to put my foot down. Um, Even with my woman, I had to put my foot down and like let her know that what's going on with me is not normal. It is very normal from their understanding to us. It's like, why is this guy channeling consciousness, swinging pendulums that he's not swinging himself, and he has this sense of all universal understanding about all consciousness and all the universes and all spaces and reality. So to liberate yourself consciously is, we can't ask everybody to be a Buddhist. We can't ask everybody to have a near-death experience professionally. We're not asking everybody to, do DMT and drink ayahuasca. But if you don't do any of these sorts, at least you can take this in stride as psychology, because everything in this place that we live inside of this bardo is psychology. It's all psychological, and we're our own demons. And demons, oh, I can't wait to talk about that video, because when I found out the truth about demons, boy, it ain't like what they show in the movies. So stop being hallmarked. Hallmarking could do anything, as far as everything that you watch in front of your eyes will hallmark you. So let's say, for instance, here's an example of hallmarking. Demons do what they do, and they prey on your thoughts. But when somebody go to the movie theater and watch Sinister, and then come back and then can't go to sleep that night, guess what? You've been fucking hallmarked. It's what the senses will play on your mind to make you feel the delusion of what is. And people do it to people all the time. My mama used to do it to me. She tried to get me to shoot up, telling me this is better than weed. And I'm like, I'm not gonna fall for that. So hallmarking is pretty much common sense, knowing how to say no. People don't like to say no in this place. They don't know how. And even I don't know how to say no sometimes, because I'm very compassionate and very understanding to all sentience. And then when I find out the truth about sentience in this place, about animals, about people, it's like kind of hard to be compassionate about sentience when everything in here is pretty much against themselves and each other. So it's our job as ascended masters in this place, and I'm going to name a bunch of names that are ascended like me that don't know who's inside of them. That is my job to let them know, hey, this is who's inside of you, and this is how you communicate, and let's get this thing going. So hallmarking is real. You don't want to be hallmarked by false pretense of delusions from another source of consciousness. It's all about consciousness, okay? Because you can't hallmark yourself. You just develop habits. So that is a form of hallmarking. But if you was not around people, and if you were in penance, I guarantee you won't be hallmarked. Especially if you know what meditation is. Especially if you know what prayer is. Especially if you know what having faith is. It's hard to be hallmarked. Here's an example of a woman that's hard to be hallmarked. My grandmother, old school, born in 1927. You can't hustle her for shit. She can't be hallmarked. And the stubbornness is hallmarking. Mohandas Gandhi couldn't be hallmarked. He was going to liberate India. He was going to liberate him. And he stood against the British because he was not going to be hallmarked by bullshit. So it's all about what you take in, guys. So my video is breaking up. Enough of this hallmarking segment, and I will get to you on the next video about how demons actually work. Peace.